Rising Tides by Sunnyfall. The Prologue. The sky above was littered with stars, but clouds were creeping at its edges, growing closer to the center with each moment that passed. A clearing laid in the center of the area, lined with great old oak trees with trunks that stood strong for longer than any cat of the lake had lived, and branches that folded in above the clearing, intertwining with the other trees to form a canopy that just barely let in the light. Directly beneath that opening was a pool of water. It was so small it looked as though it could have been made by a day's rain that simply hadn't faded away yet, but it had stayed in that place with that size for as long as the trees, if not longer. This particular night, as the clouds continued to close around the clearing, there stood 3 ancient cats. One was a large ginger tom with white paws that seemed to hold the gravity of the world. Another was a black she-cat with green eyes that stood out against the shadows forming behind her and made it seem as if all but her eyes hadn't yet arrived. The third was a wiry, sandy-brown she-cat with an expression in her amber eyes that seemed to simultaneously welcome you and drive you away. "He's late," she meowed gruffly. "Calm down, Windstar," the ginger tom responded. "You know he wouldn't miss a night this important." As they stood together, the black she-cat began tapping a front paw, irritation pricking up her neck for the longer they waited. Finally, as the clouds were nearly above their pool, a fluffy silver tom padded into the clearing, padding along one paw at a time, with the confidence of someone who had been all the time in the world, and no urgency to get here or do anything else. He took his time to walk over between the brown she-cat and the ginger tom before he sat in front of the pool, settling gracefully into a patch of grass. "What took you so long, Riverstar?" The black she-cat had clearly been holding these words back as Riverstar savored the walk. "On a night like this, you really can't rush me, Shadowstar. The temperature was just perfect for a swim. Besides, I'm here in time." Riverstar stretched out, shaking the last few drops of water from his tail. "You could swim any time you like. Whatever we see tonight may change the course of the clans forever. Why else would we 4 be called?" the ginger tom asked. There was less anger in his voice than in Shadowstar's, but it still had a firmness that wouldn't be argued with. Riverstar's calm eyes settled on the giant ginger tom. "Did you notice?" "Notice what?" "How easily it comes to you now. We 4. Thunderstar looked ruffled by Riverstar's words, and he broke his gaze from the other tom. "That is who we are now," he murmured. "I knew him too," Shadowstar cut in. "Maybe it's better that history forgot him." "The clans didn't just forget him." Thunderstar's eyes shot over to the black she-cat, blazing with an anger not quite directed at her. "Even we may never see him again." The other 3 looked taken aback for a moment, but his emotions didn't faze them for long. Finally, Riverstar spoke again. "Maybe one day, but until then, there's work to be done." Windstar looked around the group with a firm expression that seemed to push away the unpleasant thought. "Riverstar is right. We were called here for something very important, which is why we need to stop chattering like blackbirds so we don't miss it." Thunderstar nodded in appreciation to the brown she-cat for taking their attention back to the matter, but didn't say another word. At that moment the clouds converged, leaving only a small hole for the light of the moon to shine through, directed at the pool. As the light hit the surface of the water, the reflections of the 4 cats beside it melted away, and were replaced with the image of a sleek, pure ginger tom standing by a shaggy dark grey tom with pale blue eyes. The dark grey tom stood, the faintest evidence of stars glinting in his fur, and faced the ginger tom. "There will be 3, kin of your kin, who will hold the power of the stars in their paws." As he spoke, his words sounded strong but ancient, older even than his aged appearance would suggest. The ginger tom was confused, glancing around the area as if physically searching for answers the world could provide. The picture faded away from the pool, and the reflections returned once more. The cats around it looked up from the water, each of their eyes meeting the other's in turn. "It's a prophecy." Riverstar broke the silence. "Well, obviously. But it's not new. It's been delivered already, and I can't say I know that tom who delivered it," the brown she-cat replied, her eyes flitting around to the others as she tried to determine what this was for. Thunderstar bowed his head slightly to the she-cat, but "Even so, Windstar, it's pretty clear why we received this vision tonight, isn't it? This prophecy was given to him long ago, but now it is about to come true. Firestar's daughter is about to have kids. The 3 will be born." Riverstar tilted his head, his expression calm as it always was, but with a tint of contemplation. "That does seem to be the point of this, yes. But if we're being notified of these cats' power, it must be cause for something else. Will they be stopping something enormous, or will we need to stop them? Riverstar spoke the words they had all been thinking, but were hesitant to speak aloud. If it was sent to the oldest clan cats there were, all of StarClan had to know about it, but they didn't know what they were preparing for. They all shuffled their paws in turn, not sure where to go from here. After a moment, Windstar stood. At the very least, when the three are born, all of StarClan should be watching over them. If we can understand as early as possible what their power will be used for, we can begin to prepare. Which means we need to spread the word. Every StarClan cat we know must be told, Shadowstar continued. Thunderstar nodded, although his mind was somewhere else. They did need to spread the word of StarClan, of course, but there might be someone else they need to tell. Usually prophecies go to living cats as well as the dead. Firestar has a prophecy already. Should we tell one of the three? Windstar quickly shook her head, seeming appalled that he would even consider the idea. Have you not listened to us, Thunderstar? We have no idea what the kids will be like or what they will use their power for. We don't even know how their power will manifest. We can't tell them anything until we know whose side they're on. Thunder sighed, knowing Windstar was missing the point. But wouldn't they be more likely to fall off the side of right if we guided them? If they knew about their power and could learn to control it? Fall on the side of right. Not necessarily, Riverstar interjected. If you tell kids they have the power of StarClan, they won't listen to you. They won't listen to anyone. They'll think themselves better than everything, which is an easy way to push them against us. No, we can't tell them, at least until they're older. For now, the three are on their own. Run. I'm bad at this. The word coursed through her mind, keeping her going and keeping her from losing her mind. The trees stretched high into the sky, with needles tied together so thickly not a speck of light could come through. Run. Find it. She didn't know what she believed she could find. Even as the seasons below changed, these trees never did, so as to deny her any relief. Once she had tried climbing. It took moons to learn with no one to help her, but she did eventually reach the top of one of the trees. The sky there was black. There was no day, dawn, or even stars or moonlight to shine through. All of that had been abandoned when she came here, or was put here. It became hard to remember after a while. As she did through every moment of this life she had left, the tan and white patched she-cat kept walking. Her amber eyes would try to survey the clearings and bushes ahead, but there was no way to map it. The forest warped around her, keeping her from ever seeing another soul. Well, except for those she brought. She was the one who named this place, who let word of it percolate through the clans who still lived below. To the first cat she brought to share her hell with her, she told them about it. This is the place cats go when StarClan cannot or will not take you. The place where nothing will ever change and everything changes all the time. The place where no hope will live for you ever again. This is the place of no stars. Okay, yeah. So yes, this is by Sunnyfall. I will leave a link to her YouTube channel and to the story in the description. And just wanted to. This is one of my favorite Warriors fanfics of all time. There was an AU besides this that I also really love, but this is one of my favorites. And I am aware I messed up a lot. I always mess up when I'm making these, I'm sorry. Anyways, thanks for listening / watching, I guess.